What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Amateur Moto Show. I'm your host, Derrick Darby. Today on the Amateur Moto Show, we're joined by Thor Powell. Known for his speed and grit on the track, Thor's been making his mark in both the GNCC and amateur motocross ranks, and just recently announced a new team signing with Rock River Yamaha. We'll dive into his journey, his training, and what's next for him following the ups and the downs at Thor Mini O's. Ladies and gentlemen, Thor Powell. Woo! What's up, man?
I'm just happy to be walking after Mini O's. We had a pretty gnarly get off, but we came out decently healthy and ready for the 2025 season to start.
Hell yeah, man. We'll talk about that a little bit. In the Supercross results were obviously better than the Motocross results at Thor Mini O's. We'll talk about that a little bit. But before we do, let's backtrack. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in motocross. I know you've been riding since you were, well, I say young. You're still young. But let's talk a little bit about how you got started in moto and where the journey started.
Yeah, so it started for me back home in Hawaii, where I'm originally from. And my dad used to ride, and his dad was in the military. But my dad's dad was the first one to get us started. And then my dad ran the track in Hawaii called Kahuku. And he did something called Supercross with Fox out there. And they did that for probably 5-6 years before I was born. And then they had that when I came along, and Fox told me, they're like, hey, if you could get Thor to Loretta's, we could help him out, and we could help him make a career out of this motocross stuff. And my dad, he's a surfer guy. Like right now, like he's building boats and stuff up there in Georgia. And he was like, what is Loretta's? And we ended up going to an area qualifier in California. And then our regional was at Comp Edge, which is no longer a track. And I did good. We qualified for Loretta's. I went there the first every year in 2012, and I was like, oh, man, like, this is fun. Like, cool. Like, just a kid from Hawaii, like, out here having fun racing some dirt bikes. And who knew that 13 years later that this is what it turned into, to it now be my full-time job and me moved over here doing it for my life.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've never been to Hawaii. Would love to go. I know it's beautiful over there. What's the biggest difference in racing in Hawaii versus racing in the United States? Is it different, and if so, how?
Yeah, it's very different. I kind of feel like over there, you got to think we had 1,500 members on our island for the track, and it's only the one island that we have, and then there's the other islands, and they all race. Like for 4th of July, we go to the Big Island, and like we go to like different islands for different races. But it's mainly you stay on your island, you ride, and there's only one track. You come over here to the mainland, you get all these places. You got Florida, you got South Carolina, you got everything all down here that you can drive to. And it's a lot easier because you don't have to fly back and forth every time that you go to a race or you do something. You can actually drive places, and that's what's nice about being over here. And I feel like the big benefit of being over here, too, is you get more recognized. Like, because over there in Hawaii, you won't really get that recognized from your results.
Yeah. So, whenever you said that, so do the islands come together? Is there like a showdown where the islands to see like what island has the best riders, or how does that work?
Nah, I don't think I'd call it a showdown, but they all do come together, like 4th of July, New Year's. And like each island has like their own series. Like the island I was from was HMA, and I don't know the other ones off the top of my head, but I know Oahu's HMA, and like they all do come together throughout the year for like special events. Like they'll all like, okay, we'll get a container, we'll put 12 bikes in it, 12 people that win this raffle or whatever, they get to go. And it's like fun things like that for the family. Like, it's definitely nowhere near as serious as it is over here.
Yeah. We do a lot more local racing than we do national racing, but it's hard to beat the vibes at a local race with everybody working together, helping each other out. And you still get that a little bit at the national level, but just not as much as the local level. And I'm sure with the community bonds that you have in an area like Hawaii, where it's just everybody trying to work together, I bet that really is fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so looking at some of your career stats, and this is career for amateur moto, I believe, for motocross, not necessarily GNC. I'm actually not 100% on that. Maybe I should talk to somebody about amateurmoto.com. Do you know about amateurmoto.com?
Nope, I do not.
So if you're ever interested about what your stats are, or the people that you race against, what their stats are, you can go to amateurmoto.com and check it out. So for Thor Powell, they've got your stats listed as 276 races, 106 podiums with 15 wins. And most recently, it has your most recent results, but you can actually go back and look at your Loretta's performances and a bunch of other races. But most recently, your Thor Minio's results. In Supercross, we had you in P6 in 250B Limited and P3 and 450B Limited. You did have a good result in motocross for 450B Limited. I'm assuming that did your crash happen in one of your second motos?
Yeah, it actually ended up happening in 250B Limited.
Yeah.
I mean 250B.
250B, right. Because
yeah.
So I've got you P3 in 450B Limited, and then in 250B, 450B, and then 250B Limited. The results weren't as good because we did have the crash in Moto 2. I know that you're back home in Florida right now recovering. What kind of injuries are we dealing with?
We got a couple broke ribs and a concussion. That's about it. But the concussion was the main thing because I ended up getting a pretty gnarly one earlier in the year doing a GNCC the same time as Daytona. And I was off the bike from that one for 2 months. And this one, I was out for about 2 minutes, they said. And how I do it is every minute you're out, it's a week off the bike. And with this one being with Christmas in 3 weeks, I'm just going to go 3 weeks. And then after Christmas, I'll get back on the bike. Man,
it's that's terrible. I'm glad that it wasn't worse for you. Obviously, the broken ribs suck. They heal up. But the concussions, man, you don't want to mess with that brain. I'm a big sports guy, so I keep up with head injuries from like football and stuff like that. But yeah, man, take care of yourself. I'm glad that you're taking the extra precaution and sitting out a little bit longer. Let's dive into. Let's dive into some of those career highlights. 276 races, 106 podiums, 15 wins. Looking back on your career, what's been some of the most memorable moments that you've experienced so far?
I'm going to start off with the GNC because GNC was a very big part these past few years in my program.
Yeah.
And I ended up winning 2 championships in that, and I was happy with that. And it got me to where I am now, I think, with fitness and who I am on the bike. And it's helped me a lot in that kind. But I would say those are my 2 biggest moments. And then I have a championship of Mini-O's on a KTM 65. That was a proud day. I ended up doing really good that day, beating some big names. And then, man, it's just all these years to Loretta's just living the dream.
Yeah. I first I was scrolling through your Instagram just to kind of like look at your posts and get a quick history. It seems like so you're obviously on a Yamaha now, but it seems like through your career you've been on just about every brand of dirt bike there is, I saw the KTMs. Obviously, your history with Kawasaki before going to Yamaha. So that's pretty cool. GNCC. I again, I don't have the most diverse background in moto, so I was looking up GNCC stuff, comparing it to motocross. I didn't realize that GNCC races were like 2 to 3 hours long, compared to what it is in motocross. What is it that you like so much about GNCC?
I couldn't tell you because, like, if you ask me now, I hate GNCC. Like, looking back at it, I'm like, why did I do that to myself? Like,
Yeah.
you go 3 hours straight on a dirt bike as hard as you can go at 110 to 120% the whole 3 hours.
Through woods, over trees, under trees, over rocks. I mean,
yeah, like through rocks that you look at and you're like, oh, that's not going to be fun. And you're doing that 3 hours straight. But I will say I've enjoyed every bit of the GNC, and like there's some of them, like the snowshoe race is my favorite, not because of the track. The track is the scariest track you ever ride in your life. There's boulders. You go down rocky straightaways, fifth gear wide open, because it's got a ski resort in West Virginia, and going up and down those hills, man, it's something you'll never experience before. I'll tell you that much. So I started my career on moto, and then when COVID came in 2020, I was with Kawasaki, and they asked me if I'd like to try GNCC because they were still running. And I was like, yeah, I might as well. I went out, I won the GNCC, and it was YXC2. I ended up winning it. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is fun. Next year, I ended up signing with Babbitt Kawasaki, and I got second overall in the YXC1 championship. And I was like, all right, this is fun. And that was an hour-and-a-half race, so it wasn't too bad. The next year, I ended up signing with Triangle Cycles Yamaha for motocross. And I was like, hey, like, would you guys be interested to help me in the woods, because I kind of want to do this? And Rusty Reynolds, I got to give it up to him. He's helped me so much in these past few years, and he's still helping me to this day on my new program. But he was like, yeah, he goes, we can give it a shot. And we raced 150 schoolboy, and I ended up winning the championship in that. And he was like, oh, man, I like this. You won the championship. Let's keep this going. And then not this year, but last year, we re-signed with them again. And I went into the 3 hour. I raced 150A, ended up winning the championship in that 2 rounds early. I was stoked. And then everything just kind of settles in from there. And we're focusing on motocross now these next 3 years, and I see what happens. And I will say, if my motocross career will not pan out, I will go back to the woods, because I think I can go back and do pretty good.
I mean, it sounds like you can. That's probably even a little bit more shocking, because winning those championships there in GNCC and not having that much experience, it sounds like either way you're destined to be successful in one or the other. Man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm a fan of them.
Let's talk about a little bit about your training and preparation. What do you? I mean, obviously you're not riding right now. Trying to take care of the head and the ribs. But when you are healthy, what are we doing to train and prepare?
So off the bike, I work with this guy named DW Performance, Drew Whitehead. He helps me out a pretty good bit, and we're trying to be in the gym 4 to 5 days a week. The days that we aren't traveling, or if we're not racing that weekend, we'll be in the gym 5 or 6 days. But normally on a normal week that we have a race coming up, it's 4 days in the gym, 1 day in the car, and then 5 days on the road bike. And it's a pretty good bit of work. I love it because it's helped me with my endurance and everything. And so it's 4 to 5 days in the gym, on the road bike, just doing something, getting the heart rate up. And on the bike, I'm a type of person that doesn't like to stay at one training facility real long. So here recently, I've been going up there with Mike Brown up there in Georgia, And then
Yep.
I got this other place called Okefenokee MX. That's with Mike Alessi and a couple other kids there.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of that because me and Mike get to work on starts, and my starts aren't always been the best. Still aren't to this day, but he's been helping me get there. And then we got Orlando MX with Dean Diaz.
Yep.
And I like it there because he helps me with a lot of my fundamentals and pushes me to try to get to the next peak.
Yeah, I think it's I think you bring up a great point with working with more than one trainer, because if you think about it, kids that play ball sports, baseball, football, basketball, they don't have the same coach throughout their youth career. They're always changing coaches, and the benefit of that is different perspectives. People can, what Dean can get out of you in one area, maybe Mike can't get out of you, but Mike can get something else out of you in a different area that maybe Dean or somebody else can't. So to bring in a different perspective, a different set of eyes, maybe it unlocks something in your riding and just elevates your skill that much more. Are you doing any mental coaching or anything like that?
Yeah, I've actually been working with Brian McDonald for the past 3 years, and he's helped me out a lot because mainly this year because I've got the first concussion, and then I ended up getting hurt again with a knee injury, and now he's been helping me a lot this year, and he's helped me get through some milestones this year.
Yeah, is there? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but what are some things that you have struggled with mentally that maybe that mental side has prepared you for?
Well, one of my big things was when I was younger, even till about 2 years ago, is I don't know why, but being from Hawaii, I was like, I can't be as good as these people. Like, these people, they grew up over here. Like, they know how this works and, all that. But now kind of getting older and everything, it's now just I am one of the best and I can be the best. You just have to put in the work and you have to be there every race.
Yeah.
Because you can have one race where you're up front and you're doing good, and next race you're not even inside the top 10 and everyone's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's I totally understand where you're coming from, or could see how you may have that mentality as a younger kid. I'm glad that you're now aware that it doesn't matter where you're from. It just matters of how much work that you put in. It sounds like you're putting in a lot of work. So good for you, man. I'm a big supporter of mental coaching, even at a young age. I work with my son on that too. So I'm glad that you're a few years into that. Let's talk about the influences around you. And you've talked a little bit about some of the trainers that you work with, but how do the people around you, your team, your sponsors, even your family, how do they shape your approach to racing, and how do they get you prepared?
Kind of like everything. I like to start everything a couple weeks before Minio started, 2 weeks before. I only rode 1 or 2 days a week. I was still in the gym every day, but it was getting your body more in a routine of a race day. Cause a race day, some days at Minios, Loretta's, you'll race one time and that's it. And that could be 8 o'clock in the morning, noon, 6 o'clock at night. So it was kind of just 1 or 2 days a week on the bike, but very heavily in the gym to where I was getting more work in the gym than I would in a week's worth of riding, because I felt like I wasn't at a plateau in my riding. I was on an uphill, because I've always had a big thing. If I go to an event and I feel like I'm plateaued and I feel like I'm not going upward, sometimes this year before Loretta's, I stopped riding a whole 2 weeks before because I felt so good on the bike. I felt so in sync with it. Everything was going so good. And that was the same thing with Minios. I didn't ride the whole week before. I went I was rode the last 2 Fridays before, and literally like didn't touch the bike again until practice day. It's just getting my mental like I feel like I'm mentally as fast as I ever have, and I just cannot be beat.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that you bring up, because even, I mean, my son that races nowhere near your caliber, but we're riding and it feels like he's riding good, and then it feels like we kind of plateau, and then he takes. I mean, maybe something will happen with the bike. The bike goes down. We're down for a week or two of no riding. It kind of feels like when we come back from that 1 or 2 week break, he's almost riding better than he was the day before we took that break. So I think it's a really interesting point that you bring up of how that helps you. One, kind of come back fresher, but then also allows you to kind of to reset that mental before the big event. I think that's pretty cool. Let's talk about your bike setup. When it comes to your bike setup, are there any particular modifications or personal preferences? What are some of your personal preferences when it comes to your bike setup?
So, handlebars. I'm a big handlebar cut guy.
Yeah.
I run 29-inch handlebars compared to 32. So I take a pretty good bit off, and I think that honestly came from the woods. And my other thing is being new with Rock River, they've told me they've never had anyone run their steering stem as tight as I do. Because I guess I like it very, very tight, and we couldn't get the mod ones tight enough, so we had to put stock ones back on for me to be able to like it. So I would say handlebars and steering stem are my 2 biggest things. As long as the bike runs, other than that, there's only 2 things I need.
Yeah, and obviously, so you run narrower bars in GNCC because of the narrower paths, right? Trying to, like, I guess, bob and weave in between trees and such. The tight steering stem, I don't know why anybody would want a loose steering stem, because I feel like you're more likely to tuck or lose control or something. But I tightened my son is not the strongest kid in the world. He doesn't have the beefiest arms, but I'd noticed that whenever he was standing up and he would go through a rough section rollers or whatever, there was a lot of play with his arms, and I tightened up his steering stem, and it helped dramatically. So I totally understand where you're coming from on that. Let's talk a little bit. So you were previously Kawasaki. Congratulations on your new team signing with Rock River. You've been a part of some well-known teams. How does being on a professional team, how has it impacted your growth as a rider?
It's helped a very good bit. It's coming back from the track of, say you go to the track, you don't have the best moto. It's coming back, talking to your mechanic or the team manager, other than coming back and getting screamed at by your parents or talking to your parents.
We don't do that. Thor, we don't
like that.
We don't yell at our parents.
My big thing was, yeah, okay, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
But it's like the professional side of it, and it's having someone else to talk to other than you come straight up the track and it be you and your dad, and him be like, well, I don't know. It's more, like you said, it's more professional.
Yeah. That's, I mean, obviously, there are the crazy parents out there, and you see it all the time. So I bet it does. I bet it does help a lot being on the professional team, having those people in your corner. Let's talk about some of your long-term goals. Obviously, I know that you want to go pro, but what are your long-term goals in motocross? What are you aiming for in a pro career, and what steps are you taking to get there?
the goal is definitely to go pro, and I would be the fourth ever Hawaiian to do it because first was John DeSoto, second was Phil Overland, and third was Grant Harlan. And I could be the fourth ever to at least score some points. But the real goal is to go out this year, do Supercross Futures and some Moto Combine, Pro National, a top 10 contender within the next 3 years.
Man,
that is my goal right now.
Yeah, I love that you're very specific with that. So you will be riding Futures this upcoming year?
I have applied for it and everything. I'm just waiting on the response, and hopefully I get into that, at least to do some of them, if not all.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Good luck with that. Let's talk a little bit about advice for younger riders or even older riders that may come to you. What is some advice that you would give to riders who do look up to you and want to maybe follow a similar path?
Keep your head down and keep trying. Even when things do get rough, do not give first things. And bad races will come, but just keep your head down, keep trying, and don't talk bad about other people or other bikes or anything, because you never know in your career where you end up by the end of it. You could end up on the brand that you talk crap about your whole life to be one of their pro top riders one day, for all you know. So that's why you always talk good, and you want to keep your head down and always respect people. It doesn't matter if they're above you in a class or below you, or even if they're just someone that comes to the track to spectate and have fun. Those people could look up to you, or those people could be your next enemy, for all you know. But you always want to be nice to them at a young age. When you get older, you'll understand it gets harder to be nice to everyone. But as a young person, it's just keep your head on a swivel and keep doing what you know how to do.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. You never know. You truly never know where you're going to end up and who will or won't be in your corner. So to keep your head down, focus on you, focus on your path, and not so much the others around you, I think is a very mature approach and a great outlook. We're going to go. This is a news segment. This is a news segment with a show that we're going to run called Off Topic. And we're going to go off topic with Muck-Off. Since 1994, Muck-Off has been a favorite among motocross and cycling enthusiasts alike, offering a wide range of products that help maintain and optimize bike performance. Their product lines include bike cleaners, degreasers, lubricants, and protection sprays, all formulated to keep bikes in top condition and running smoothly. For more information on Muck-Off and their product offerings, check out the official website, us.muckoff.com. They're actually not a sponsor for this segment. I'm just trying to act and look legit and shoot my shot a little bit. You never know. So, Muck-Off, come holler at me. Thor, if you could travel anywhere in the world, non-moto related, where would you go and why?
I would say back home to Hawaii, because I haven't been there in a couple of years, and I got family there, and I'd probably get fishing lately. I got a girlfriend that likes to fish and likes to surf. She lives in New Smyrna, and she's kind of getting into that, so we need to go back and go. I was there. I caught a 650-pound marlin.
What?
So I need to go show her how to go.
Holy! I mean, I don't want to cuss with the young ears on being the guest, but a 650-pound marlin. Holy crap! That's intense. What is your favorite type of music?
I'm all over the place because I travel. Country's definitely one of them. Reggae. I'm a big Kid Rock fan. I listen to Kid Rock a pretty good bit, and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Dude, I love that. Okay, let's do. What is a hobby or an interest that some people may not know that you have?
I'm a mechanic on the side. Like I do, unlike stuff, I know how to do a lot of work. For 3 years, they taught me how to do cranks and pistons and clutches and everything, like kind of a little side hustle I do here at home. Like when I'm hurt and stuff, like I got a couple bikes in the shop I'm rebuilding. I got a KX85. I'm doing a full crank, bearing, transmission, everything. And I kind of like doing. I've had to do it for myself, and I get to help out friends and people that need to do it, and at a pretty good price, and have some fun.
Dude, that's awesome. If I'm ever in your area, I need some bike work. I'm bringing my bikes to you.
Bring them.
Bring them. All right. If you could meet anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a hard one, man. Because I know a lot of people, and probably wouldn't be someone in motocross. It'd probably be someone in the surfing world that knew my dad and could tell me some crazy stories. But
no,
I couldn't tell you. That's a hard one right there.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect because it is off topic, so it doesn't.
I don't know.
It doesn't have to be moto. And honestly, like it kind of gives me goosebumps just to think about that, about how important it is to learn stories about your dad that maybe you don't know. So I think that's a great choice. Let's talk about TV shows or movies. What's your what kind of movies are you rocking? What kind of TV shows are you listening to?
Right now, with it being near more times we can get that in before Christmas hits. I'm a big fan of the Grinch, but TV shows, Lethal Weapon. I just like it. It's violence and it's fun to watch and everything. And I've watched all the Lethal Weapon movies too, and TV show. It's pretty good. And then really not. I try to stay off of it as much as I can, but at night time I sit down, eat a cinnamon roll, and watch a TV show.
Oh man, I love a good cinnamon roll, man. You can't beat that. Okay, last question. Off topic, with Muck Off. If you could pick one superpower, what would it be?
It'd be the only thing that makes sense. I feel like if I say something else, it wouldn't go good. So I'm just gonna good old God of Thunder and Lightning.
God of Thunder and Lightning. I think I would choose flight. I think it would be cool to fly like a bird. I don't know. I think one of my favorite animals is a hawk, or an eagle, falcon type thing. I think it'd be pretty dope to fly as fast as I could. I don't know. All right, Thor. One thing that we like to do whenever we have our riders on is we want to almost treat it like a podium. We want to almost treat it like a podium. So let's thank some sponsors and those that help make moto possible for you, man.
I got to say thank you to the Rock River Gizmo Mod team for giving me a chance this year. Things that we have coming and big things through. They've helped me for years, and I always will say thank you to Rusty and Skylar and Tommy and Robbie and all of them for backing me. He's been helping me past 6-7 months with bikes. And Dad, thank you to my dad. I wouldn't be able to do it without him. We got FMF, we got Pump, Yamalube, Dunlop tires, Scott goggles, Factory Connection suspension, and everyone that's just been rough, but it's been a journey these past few years with me.
Yeah, man. So we're having a little bit of connection issues, so I hope that I'm not interrupting you. But thank you so much for the time, Thor. I know it's Minio's wasn't the best result that you wanted. I know that you are still super pumped about the results that you had with Supercross and the healthy motos that you had for motocross. So take the time, rest up. Happy holidays to you and your family. And what's next for you after Christmas? You get back on the bike. What's the next big event for you?
Probably some arena crosses. We'll probably have some kind of the arena crosses. There's too many series, but we'll find some, and mainly just pro-am and hopefully Supercross Futures. Hopefully I'll be at Arizona for the first round of Supercross Futures. That's the main one to be at.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man! I hope that you get selected for that. We'll be watching for sure. So good luck with everything. Rest up, man. Thank you for your time, guys. Thank you so much for watching Amateur Moto Show. If you have any questions or anything, shoot us a DM. You can follow Thor Powell on Facebook, Instagram. Probably has a TikTok, but thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Amateur Moto Show.